Here is something most people never figure out. You do not need money to start building wealth in real estate. You need the right structure. And once you understand that structure, the whole game looks completely different. I am going to walk you through exactly what I would do if I was starting from zero right now in 2026. No motivation speech, no theory, just the real strategy, explained the way most people never hear it. But before I get into it, I need to address the belief that keeps most people stuck before they even begin. Most people think there are two types of people in real estate: the ones who already have money and the ones who are waiting until they do. And if you have ever caught yourself saying, "I will start investing when I have more saved up," I want you to sit with that for a second. Because that sentence sounds smart, it sounds responsible, but it is quietly one of the most expensive beliefs a person can hold on to. Here is the thing about real estate: it does not reward the people who waited for the perfect conditions. It rewards the people who understood the structure early and acted on it. The market has been expensive before. Rates have been high before. Prices have felt out of reach before. And regular people with regular incomes still found a way through. Not because they had more money than you, because they understood something most people never get taught. And that is exactly what today is about. The strategy is called house hacking. And I know some of you have heard that term before, but most people who have heard it still do not fully understand why it works as well as it does. So let me break it all the way down. Here is the core idea. Instead of buying a regular single-family home where you pay a full mortgage every single month and nothing comes back in, you buy a small property with more than one unit, a duplex, a triplex, sometimes even a 4-unit building. You move into one of the units yourself, and you rent out the rest. The rent your tenants pay each month offsets your mortgage payment. In the best cases, the rent covers the entire mortgage, and you are living completely free while your property builds equity in the background. In the more realistic cases, your out-of-pocket housing cost drops dramatically compared to what you were paying as a renter. Either way, every single month you are building ownership in an asset that belongs to you instead of handing money to a landlord and walking away with nothing. Now imagine doing that for 5 years. The renter across the street paid full rent every single month for 5 years and has nothing to show for it. You spent those same 5 years building equity, learning how to manage a property, and setting yourself up for the next one. Same time. Completely different outcome. That is the structure working exactly the way it is supposed to. But here is the question I already know you are asking. If I have $0, how do I buy the property in the first place? And this is where most people stop looking, because they assume real estate always requires a massive down payment, 20% down. On a $300,000 home, that is $60,000 sitting in cash. And for most people starting from scratch, that number feels like it belongs to a completely different life. But here is what almost nobody explains clearly, and it is the single most important thing in this entire video. When you buy a property and you plan to actually live in it, you qualify for a completely different category of financing than a traditional investor would. It is called owner-occupied financing, and the rules are dramatically more favorable than what most people assume. The most widely used version of this is a government-backed home loan, and with this type of loan, you can purchase a multi-unit property with up to 4 units with as little as 3.5% down. On a $200,000 property, that is $7,000. Not $60,000, not $40,000, $7,000. Now, I want to be honest with you here, because I am not going to sugarcoat it. Your credit score matters, your income, and your existing debt matter, and you will still need to cover closing costs on top of that down payment. But we are talking about a number that a person with a normal income and a focused savings plan can realistically reach. Not some number that requires 15 years of perfect financial decisions before you can even start. That one piece of information changes the entire math. And most people go their whole lives without anyone ever explaining it to them this clearly. So here is exactly what I would do, step by step, starting from nothing. The first thing I would do is skip single-family homes completely. I know that sounds backwards. Most people think their first property should be a house with a yard, something that feels like a real home. And I understand that feeling. But here is the reality. A single-family home in the early stages of your investing journey is just an expense. You are paying a full mortgage every single month with nothing coming in to help offset it. The numbers work against you from the very beginning. What I would look for instead is the smallest multi-unit property I could find in an affordable area with real consistent rental demand. 2 units, maybe 3. Nothing complicated, nothing that needs a full renovation. Just a clean, functional property that people actually want to rent. And here is something most people completely miss when they are searching. I would specifically target properties that had been sitting on the market longer than usual. The ones with bad listing photos. The ones that look tired from the outside, but are structurally solid. The ones where the seller has been waiting on an offer that never came. Because those are the situations where real deals happen, where sellers start getting flexible on price, where closing cost help becomes a real conversation, where a buyer who shows up prepared and ready to move actually has leverage. You do not find great starting deals by chasing the prettiest listings. You find them by going where other buyers have stopped looking. The second thing I would do before making a single offer is get my full financial picture clear. That means knowing my credit score and actually understanding what is affecting it. It means knowing my debt to income ratio, because lenders are going to look at that number closely. And it means having one real conversation with a lender who has experience with this specific type of loan for multi-unit properties. Not a website calculator, a real conversation. Because that one conversation is going to tell you more about your actual starting point than months of online research ever could. It will show you what you qualify for today, what you need to work on, and exactly how far you are from being ready to move. For most people, that distance is a lot shorter than they expected. Now here is the part that most strategy videos skip. And honestly, it might be the most important thing I say today. The real reason most people never start is not the money. It is not the market. It is not the interest rates or the home prices or the timing. It is a quiet voice that says it is not the right time yet, that they need to learn more first, and that someone else is better positioned than they are, that the conditions are not quite right, and that voice sounds like wisdom. It sounds like caution, but what it actually is fear wearing a very reasonable disguise. I'm not telling you to be reckless. Preparation matters. Getting your finances in order matters. Understanding the numbers matters. But there is a version of preparing that never ends. There is always one more thing to learn, one more reason to wait. And the people who stay in that loop are not less intelligent than the people who moved forward. They just never called that voice out for what it was. The investors who built real wealth through real estate are not the ones who waited for perfect conditions. They are the ones who got educated, got their finances sorted, and then made a decision. Not a perfect decision, just a real one. So wherever you are starting from today, hear this. The people who own real estate 10 years from now are not the ones waiting for the perfect moment. They are the ones who started with what they had, learned as they went, and kept going even when it felt too early. 7 years from now, there will be 2 types of people. The ones who started in 2026 and the ones who wish they had. You already know which one you want to be. The only question left is what you do after this video ends.